Welcome back to part 3 of my Dead Ahead guide. Before we jump into location 3, at some point you're going to look at your team menu and see a whole lot of units who you can purchase but haven't yet done so. At this point, gold is flowing but not at the rate that we need it to, so pickings are slim. As I said in part 1 of my guide, there's going to be a lot of temptation to unlock and use some of these units, and while many of them will bring different advantages, they aren't really necessary for progress. As we progress further into the story missions, team bonuses will increasingly play a more pivotal role, and a lot of these units will only dilute that aim and ultimately make clearing missions more difficult. However, if you're adamant on purchasing a new unit, as a survivor rank 14, where I currently am now in my alternate account, I would prioritize the following from most necessary to least: Sniper Polina, Grenadier, Sonia, Guard, Ranger, Carlos, Firefighter. Anyone else after that up until this point isn't really worthwhile in my opinion. Sheriff Charlotte is an excellent alternative to Polina and worth using as well. She's not on this list though because she's a reward and not a purchase. For clearing location 3, we're going to be using Redneck, Farmer, Policeman Diaz, both barrels, the med pack, Sniper Polina, and unfortunately, Builder. I say unfortunate because Builder, by most accounts, is not a good unit, but he does have two things that are helpful that we're going to need. First and foremost, Builder is the only one on this roster who is bullet resistant. That's going to be extremely important for this location. Secondly, Builder's critical hits inflict a knockback, and his high natural crit chance of 30% means he'll have an easy time doing that. However, if you wish to replace him for someone else, then the Grenadier is a far better pick. For my playthrough though, I was cheap and just stuck with him. Either way, you will need a unit who is bullet resistant, be it the Builder, Grenadier, or Guard, because in this area we're encountering a new type of enemy often seen in zombie media: other survivors.
What do you suggest we do that?
I don't know. I hear Nebraska's nice.
Nebraska. This guy.
As was previewed earlier in location 1 and 2, Marauders are a band of survivors who are much less scrupulous than our own team and are willing to kill and take what they want or need. There's quite a variety of them too, and it's helpful to get to know who's who. Marauders act differently from zombies, being slightly smarter as to not run through fire, and most will openly assault units on the field first before attacking the bus. As you've likely noticed, quite a few Marauders use guns, and one even throws grenades at us. This is why we need a range-resistant unit to counter the bullets at least. The grenades can't really be countered without a specialty unit or the TMF faction bonus. Marauders are enemies that do become trivialized later, but for the time being they pose a very real threat to us, so timing will be important. Here we face what is in my opinion the worst weather effect of them all: rain. It sounds harmless enough, and for a long while it was, with the drawback only being that you can't use any fire items on these levels. However, as of a few patches ago, they also added a lightning element to it, so now lightning periodically strikes your units, usually killing them in an instant. It can also target zombies too, but they tank the damage much better, and for them it isn't as much of a big deal. This can be extremely frustrating to deal with since the lightning also has a somewhat large AoE radius too. Exercise caution on these levels, especially with range units that are standing too close to the bus, because if they die and then come back as zombies, there often isn't enough room to counter that and your bus will end up taking damage. At this point, you should have access to Sniper Polina. She's fairly steep, costing 2,500, but we will want to have her because she's an excellent unit to have and will serve a purpose from here onwards. Though there are only 3 sniper units in the game, Polina is the only one who uses an actual sniper rifle and boasts the longest range shot of any unit. This allows her to kill marauder units from afar, outranging even the units who also carry guns. Feel free to replace Pepper with Polina once you get her. Location 3 also introduces us to another band of survivors and their undead counterparts, members of a scientist research team. I'll get into these team members another time, but the zombified versions have a unique characteristic in that they are able to inflict poison damage on our units. The most dangerous of these units is no doubt the giant slob zombie, who upon death will explode and spread poison to everyone within its explosion radius. In most cases, this is a huge drawback, but we can slightly offset this by ensuring we still have the redneck 2-man bonus at work. Each damaging poison tick will give us a chance for a courage drop, which will be extremely helpful in instantly replenishing lost units and even putting additional ones on the field. As I've said before, you'll need to routinely do supply runs to upgrade your gear. My strategy so far has been to keep a set for each active unit on my roster, instead of trying to have a set for every unit total. This means swapping out gear when changing units, but this way I can more easily keep gear at a higher level than if I tried to upgrade and maintain more pieces. At some point, likely upon clearing a few levels, you'll come back to location 1 and 2 and notice that the rewards have changed. Now, when doing a supply run, we're able to earn epic quality items, which is great, except that the difficulty has also gone up. This will pose a bit of a challenge at first, so I recommend to do location 1 supply run a bunch of times. The reason I choose this one over location 2 is because location 1 gives a set bonus that is fairly helpful to us, the Lucky Guy set. Later on, this set is mainly used for skirmish, but we can still make good use of it here, especially when equipping it on the redneck. The reason for that is because it gives an additional chance for extra courage to drop when the redneck is damaged, even on that fatal blow. This will prove to be quite helpful here onwards for the next while. Also, it has a minor bonus against tanking range tags too, which will be helpful. The real challenge, however, will be doing location 3 supply run, which at this stage is very difficult and will often take several attempts to do. However, I cannot stress enough how important it is to acquire a tactical set bonus from the supply run because we're going to need it for both Location 3 and Location 4. So once you're able to access Location 3's supply run, be sure to try and clear it a bunch in order to get at least one set bonus because you're going to come across tough marauders who are also range resistant like the lubber, as well as quite a few zombies who are also range resistant. I should also add that the tactical set is only ever available in epic and rare qualities. There's no legendary set for this yet, so it's a great investment to make if you find pieces that have good stats on them. The stats we will want for tactical will be flat range damage, percent range damage for snipers, cost reduction, and crit modifiers. It doesn't really matter who uses it right now. For my playthrough, I had Policeman Diaz use it because of the splash damage. These zombies, called undead, can be pesky to deal with. The only way to permanently kill them is to burn their bodies with fire. The Molotov cocktail does the trick, but the red barrel is cheaper and on a faster cooldown. In nearly every situation, it's best to use a red barrel over the Molotov. Location 3's boss is facing off against the Marauder's own bus, or truck rather. Fun fact, it's the only enemy that doesn't have a page in the zombie book. Boss is fairly easy and just has 3 different types of attacks that repeat after each other. To start, unless attacked, it will remain idle until around 38 courage, where it will first attempt to ram any units on the field, driving a short distance forward and then back again. This attack will instantly kill any unit it hits, regardless of health. If you attack before this point, he will open fire at them using his machine gun. After its ram attack, it will send out a group of marauders in quick succession, most of whom were just cannon fodder units, but there might be 1 or 2 lubbers in there with them. From there, he will open fire with a machine gun regardless. The machine gun has a relatively short range. It may be able to reach your shotgunners if they don't have any range boosting items on them, but it won't hit any snipers on your team. After that, it will repeat from the ram, then the units, then the gun again. Upon taking damage, he may open fire on your units as well. In Challenge 1, we face off against an onslaught of charged zombies. This could be quite difficult to deal with. You can counter this with the mechanic 2-man perk of auto repair as we did against the crane boss in Location 2, or if you have the Lucky Guy item set, you can still use rednecks as it will often take 2 shots to kill instead of 1. Be aware that damage from the charged zombies rush is splash damage, so at the start don't clump your rednecks together. Also, remember to put barrels behind the enemy barricade to soak up damage and buy your rednecks more time to take it down. Challenge 2 is where I hit my limit during the day's playthrough. I was simply too undergeared to beat this challenge without having to resort to something extra: buffs. You've undoubtedly noticed the 3 consumables at the top center of your screen by now. These are called buffs and they grant a temporary bonus to help push your team further. The water jug does just what you think. It periodically drops courage onto the field that can be collected. Each one adds 10 courage as opposed to 25. The energy drink reduces cooldown on units by 50%. This stacks with the jailer's team bonuses too, by the way. And the red bottle puts your units into a fury state, allowing them to inflict double damage and cancelling and making them immune to fear effects as well. I could tell that damage was the problem here, so I opted to use fury to make up for that loss. After a few more supply runs, I was able to come back and finish the challenge as per usual. That's it for today. Originally, I wanted to tack on Location 4 to this as well, but I forgot how much bigger it is now than it used to be, and I'm still working on it. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.